My name is Michelle Worthington, and I am the author of the Sass and Traz series. Today, we are reading from Book 1, Sass and Traz Save the Library, and we're up to Chapter 2. Miss Burns didn't walk. She floated. Her hands and feet were long and slim, like an angel floating in midair. She moved like she was sleepwalking, as if she was really somewhere else in a beautiful dream, probably inside of one of her favorite stories. She was often unconscious of the real world and its furnishing, often bumping into tables and letting things fall when they were put into her hands. Moving quickly and quietly, she put her hand on Traz's shoulder, making him beam with happiness. Miss Burns was one of their most favourite people in the world. There wasn't many. With the other hand, she passed him a small book with yellow pages and crumpled corners. Traz turned it over. "There are no library stickers on this," he said, searching up into her face for answers. "No, my pets. This is one of my books. I'm afraid I'm not allowed to lend out any of the library books at the moment. At least, not until—" Her words faded, but were replaced with a growing sadness in her eyes. She fluttered her fake eyelashes until Sass thought they might fly off like big black butterflies. "Until what?" asked Sass. "I'm afraid I've had some bad news." Miss Burns brought her face down low to where they were sure to see her clearly, as if that would perhaps make it easier for what she had to say. Her face was flushed with none of its usual pink excitement, and she stopped to catch her breath before taking their hands in hers. "Until they closed the library." "What?" shouted the twins in unison. "That was Mayor Carter I was talking to this morning. Some nice young man from a construction company had been around yesterday measuring the library. When I asked him what he was doing, he said that Mayor Carter had hired them for the demolition." "Demolition!" they shouted again, resulting in a mutual stare of annoyance and concern. "I didn't believe it myself, so I called the mayor. He came round this morning to tell me the library needed too much work done to it to fit into this year's budget, and they were going to knock it down and build a car park instead." Miss Burns raised a perfectly arched eyebrow and shook her head. Her heaped high hair didn't budge. "I'm sorry, precious ones. Tears welled in her eyes, but she stood tall, as if daring them to brave the heights. "There must be something we can do," asked Traz. "It's the only library in town. We don't even have a library at school anymore." Sass could sense his rising panic. There weren't many places her brother felt comfortable or safe. The library was one of them. It was his haven away from the lights and noise of their busy world. "The mayor seemed to think it wasn't open to negotiation. This is their land and they can do what they want. The bulldozers will arrive on Monday." "Monday," said the twins. "I wish we would stop doing that," said Sass. "It's cute," said Miss Burns. "It's embarrassing," said Traz. "This twin talking telepathy thing isn't everything it's cracked up to be. We don't always think the same." Although Traz seemed gentle and spoke in a soft voice, Sass knew he was very determined and always did what he wanted, whether his twin liked it or not. "But we do agree about this," said Sass. "There must be something we can do." "You can help me pack," suggested Miss Burns. "Unless I get the books out, they will be destroyed with the building. I couldn't bear my beautiful bookie friends to be badly treated. I will find them a new home." "What about you?" asked Traz. "What will you do?" "The mayor has kindly offered me a position in his office, answering the phones. Miss Byrne patted her beehive bun. I do hope those headset thingamybobs don't dent my do. But you don't even own a mobile phone. How are you going to be happy answering calls all day? Miss Burns not only looked like she was from the 60s, she was also behind the times when it came to technology. There was no computer in the library, and she stamped the books in and out by hand. I'm not sure, but at least I will still have my job and can stay here in Greensville with my family and friends. That's what matters. Maybe I can start a little street library of my own. Sass followed Miss Burns as she walked away from the desk and turned her eyes to the football game below. Traz's body was half bent in his wheelchair, his head in his hands. So that's it then? We don't even fight? You don't use an army to fight a losing battle, Pumpkin. Be a darling and bring those boxes up from the downstairs storeroom, will you? I'll stay here with Traz and tell him a bit about his new book. Miss Burns and Traz looked as lost as passengers on a drifting ship. She didn't want to leave them. She bent her head so that her long fringe covered her face. Please, Precious, I just couldn't bear to do it all by myself. Can you help? Sass opened her mouth to say something, but she shut it again. Yes, for sure, she smiled warmly, hiding the chill in her heart.